Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is the Dundee Township Trustee regular meeting scheduled for 7 p.m. on Wednesday, April 21st. This meeting of the Dundee Township Board of Trustees with the Illinois Governor's executive orders and disaster declarations regarding the COVID-19 pandemic, per Senate Bill 2135, which addresses electronic meetings during periods when the governor of the state of Illinois has
You're breaking up, Trish.
will not be meeting in person at the township building and at this time. The video will be provided to the public via the Dundee Township website. General public had the opportunity to receive access to the meeting by looking at the website or making a request. With that, Bob, will you please pull the roll for me?
Okay. All right, physically present, Supervisor Glees.
Aye.
And myself, attending remotely, I believe we have Trustee Schaefer.
Here.
Trustee Johnson.
Here.
Trustee Harney.
Here.
And Trustee Ahrens.
Here.
Okay. Hopefully this will help with the sound quality. With that, Trustee Harney, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
which it
which
stands,
stands
one
one
nation,
nation
under God,
under God,
Indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty and justice for all.
liberty
Thank you.
and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. If you are not a trustee, or Mr. Block, if you would please mute yourself until recognized. With that, I am looking for a first and second motion to amend the agenda as presented.
How about, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I have a first. Do I have a second?
I second the motion to approve it as presented.
I have Trustee Johnson as a second. I will now do, is there any discussion?
Trustee Schaefer, just a question regarding the legal action. Should we be discussing some of that in executive session?
That is correct, we will. Okay.
Does that need to be moved on the agenda then?
Well, it is on the agenda. We have the executive session and I have the wording that will be used at the time when I call the executive session.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I will now call the roll call. Trustee Johnson?
Oh, this is a vote on the agenda, right?
Yes, this is the vote on the agenda. Trustee Harney?
Aye.
Trustee Ahrens?
Aye.
And Trustee Schaefer?
Aye.
And Supervisor Glees is an aye. That motion passes. The next, I'm looking for a first and a second motion to dispense with the reading of minutes from the March 17th, 2021 Board of Trustees regular meeting and amend or approve as presented.
Move to
Trustee Schaefer,
approve.
so moved.
I have Trustee Schaefer first and my second.
I'll second Aaron's.
Excellent. Is there any comments, changes? Okay. Hearing and seeing no comments, I will call the roll call. Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
trustee Harney,
Aye.
trustee Schaefer,
Aye.
trustee Aaron's,
Aye.
and supervisor Glees. Aye, thank you. I am next looking for a motion to approve or amend the treasurer's report through March 31st, 2020, and the financial statements through 2021, after which I will ask somebody to pull a bank statement. I need a first and a second.
First, so moved, Sue Harney.
I have trustee Harney. Do I have a second?
I'm sorry, the audio cut out. Could you quickly repeat that?
Sure can. I am looking for a motion to approve or amend the treasurer's report through March
Okay.
31st, 2020, and the financial statements through April 20th, 2021.
You have a motion from Sue?
I need a second.
I'll second.
I have trustee Johnson. Trustee Harney, do you have the bank accounts in front of you, and can you pull a bank account for me?
Give me just a second here and I will see if I can find them. You know what, Trish, I've lost my glasses and I can barely read, so
No
can
problem.
you find someone else?
Trustee Aaron's, could you please pull an account for me?
Yes, I could. One here. Cemetery money market, 2515.
Okay, that's,
2515.
that's $265,560.37.
Do you concur?
I concur.
Thank you. Is there any comments, questions about the treasurer's report?
I do have one question for Bob. The bank reconciliation report and the treasurer's report is off like $1 on the total amounts that they're listed at the bottom. And I think it's related to interest on the general assistance from First American Bank. But I just wanted to note that there was a discrepancy between the totals on those two forms.
Okay, if it's a dollar difference.
Yep.
Okay, if you look on the back page of the treasurer's report, I saw that and I have to talk to the software vendor. I don't know how to correct that one thing. If you look at the back page of the treasurer's report, he shows account 08106-003 amalgamated trustee account, which was part of the old bond fund. And he's showing that there's $1 in there for principal, which there's not. So that would be the difference.
Okay, which line item was that?
Okay, if you look on the page 4 of the treasurer's report,
Yep,
it's
got it.
the top line on that page.
Okay.
It's called amalgamated trustee account, and that's where the extra $1 is. That was
Okay, yep,
part of
got
the
it.
old bond fund, so that's where the difference is.
Okay, I thought it was strange when it popped up, but thank you.
Yep.
And that's because we're able to run different types of accounts now with the software. So Bob's still working on some of those bugs. Any
I have
other
a
comments?
question. Yeah, I do. I'm sorry, I interrupted. I'm wondering, under the open space bond escrow fund, and it looks like it's an IPTIP, why do we still have money in that fund? I thought we were closing those out. Everything seems to be closed out except there's $3,000 it says the First American Bank money market, total money market. It's $3,059.90, I believe.
Okay, you're down in the 3918 account. That is when we had the last annual meeting going back to, would be 2019. The voters agreed, or the electors agreed, to move the bulk of the money that was in that account back to the open space account. We left that $3,000 in there because we thought we were going to have some additional closing cost from the bond company. So we had the money to pay it. We have not unfortunately had an annual town meeting
Oh,
since then. And so we would need to transfer that money with the blessing of the electors at the next meeting.
got it. Thank you, Bob.
All right. Are there any more questions or comments? Seeing no more questions and comments, I will call the roll. Trustee Schaefer,
Aye.
trustee Aaron's,
Aye.
trustee Harney,
Aye.
trustee Johnson, trustee Johnson,
I think he's frozen.
It's frozen.
trustee Johnson,
Screen froze and the audio froze, but I assume we're voting on the treasurer's report?
correct.
Yes, aye.
And Supervisor Gleason is an aye. Thank you. With that, we are going to move on to our board reports. We have over 46 participants. So for the people who are giving board reports, if you please be very succinct and keep them very short. With that, I am going to start with Chris Kyles, Kane County board member.
Well, I didn't think it'd be that fast. Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great. Thank you for allowing me to present. I'm Chris Caius, District 23 County Board Member for Kane County and also President of Kane County Forest Preserve. I had a number of items this evening, but just to touch base, they're really important ones. We are going to have a grand opening for our multi-use facility on the 30th, and everyone's invited. You can check out the website to find out when it's at the new coroner's office, the Office of Emergency Management, and the Facilities Management Building is brand new. That will be, the ribbon cutting will be at 11 a.m. in the morning on the 30th of the month, and the general public will be given tours through the new building from 3 to 6 on that very same day. For unincorporated residents of Kane County, we have passed a resolution to allow processing, distributing, and growing of cannabis in unincorporated areas. We have, as I had mentioned earlier, a $13 million fund that we are now distributing, or we begin distributing. We're working for that for low rental assistance, low income rental assistance. And we'll be getting more information to the township and the municipalities about how to apply for that. We'll be working with the State Housing Development Authority to distribute that money. We now have 3 permanent vaccination sites, Elgin, Batavia, and Aurora. They are available. I checked this morning and yesterday. There's appointments available for COVID vaccinations. And last but not least, and a few others I'll drop, the Forest Reserve has gone green. We're going all of the electric supply is going to be from renewable sources. So, unless there's questions, that's it.
Thank you very much. Trustees, do you have any questions for Mr. Kyles? Okay, seeing no questions. Thank you, Mr. Kyles. I appreciate that. Highway Commissioner
Thank
Sinet.
Yes,
Would you like to give your report?
yeah. So we've had a few roads stink away in the center of the intersections. We've been working on that stuff and ongoing picking up trash. We had somebody dump a load of tires and stuff on Duncan Avenue this morning, and last week we had a bunch of lumber and stuff scattered around. Just keeping busy with the roadway maintenance, and really that's about it. We never got that extra snow. We were all happy about that. So that's about it, really.
Okay. Trustees, do you have any questions for Highway Commissioner Sinet? Okay, seeing no questions. 708 President, Mr. Paul Setz.
Hi, thank you, Supervisor Glees. I was hoping to have a more substantial report this evening to tell you that we had released the application for funding from service agencies and to provide you with a number of agencies who have expressed interest in funding from the 708 board. Unfortunately, because of an unprecedented decision by the county clerk's office, we held off distributing that application for funding because the county clerk has refused to collect the tax levy that the voters approved back in March of 2020. That's my report.
Okay, thank you. Trustees, do you have any questions? Okay, not seeing any questions. Quickly, the open space report I will give, which the board has received. The big thing is Dixie West Prairie, the West Prairie of Dixie was burned very successfully, and the Chicago Garden and Plants of Concern program has started to count various species. We did a woodland burned at Salamander Springs. No issues with any of our burns. Everything is looking to come back. If you remember earlier in March, we burned Snuffy's Prairie, and I'm sure Trustee Schaefer can attest that everything is growing back rather nicely. One interesting thing is on Friday, we had a Cooper hawk fly into the barn, and he would not leave. So through some crazy sound making and stuff, and popping out a window, we actually got him to leave after about 20 minutes, but he had been in there all day, feasting on little birds and swallows and everything else that was alive and well in the barn. There's been some, they're working on some fencing, and we've ordered, again for this season, doggy doo-doo containers, which will be put up at every, replaced at every trailhead where we need them. The Braywood trailhead had some volunteer work in the name of one of our residents. It was a great Memorial Work Day. Trustee Harney, I believe you were there. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And you planted two oak, and there's a new bench there, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
We did some major clearing in that area too. That entrance looks, 100% or more better than it did. And there were probably, I'd say 30 or more people there. It was done in memory of a woman who walked there a great deal, and her family put this all together. And it was a really nice, it's a nice place, much nicer place. And it was a great work day, a lot of camaraderie and, just some really good times, good memories of her.
Great. All right, I'm going to move on to my report because I'm not exactly sure if Assessor Belak is there. He probably is. Two things. I got the IDNR CWD, which is the chronic wasting report back. And in Kane County, they did 4 management zones, as they which had 21 properties. They did not give me our breakdown per se. They broke it down by Jelke, Salamander, and so they took their allotment of deer, and of their deer, which I believe was 21, CWD was not detected. So, you know, they thanked us once again for allowing the sharpshooters on the property to work with the, you know, to work to find I guess, a cure, a vaccine for CWD. The other thing, and I'm going to bring this up before Assessor Belak comes on, which he should be right behind me as soon as I find him. Once again, the property known as the Winsick House it doesn't have an exemption because we have a tenant there. Mr. Mike, you just popped up. Thank you. So Mike sent me a note saying that they will be raising our assessments significantly for 2021, payable in 2022. Right now, we pay about $6,000. And I believe we could be going up with the assessment to $10,000 because Assessor Belak says it has to, currently it is being valued along with other similar properties in the township at market value. The problem being in the past and the current assessment is exceptionally low in comparison with similar properties. Essentially, what we would have to do is the board would have to go through taking or repinning where the house is and then taking that other 49 acres and making it open space, non-livable. Is that correct, Assessor Belak?
I believe so. I don't know if you really have to separate it out. That's what I've been suggested that you should do. Have you applied for that in the past?
They keep denying it, I guess, because of the house and the renter.
All right. I haven't received any of that paperwork, so I don't know their basis, but I can help you going forward on that. But it's in your best interest to try and do something.
Okay. All right. That is all I have for my report. Do you have any questions for me?
I have a question or comment. Basically open space, Trish. There was an incident, you're aware of, someone has dumped a pile of dead coyotes adjacent to our Dixie property.
Yes.
Probably 5. It's hard to tell because of the advanced decomposition. And it's caused quite a community stir. There's an online forum called Nextdoor, and there've been comments flying around on that for a week or so now.
Right.
A couple of issues with this: the conservation DNR police have been out and observed. I don't know if they're going to take any action. They're not on our property; they're on Nextdoor, so it's nothing that we can directly affect. It's suspected that they were poisoned, which does affect our property because anything that scavenges those carcasses is likely to be poisoned also. And so there's a great deal of outcry on online through this Nextdoor that someone should do something. And, I usually interpret that as someone else should do something, not me. And so that's where it stands right now. It's kind of in limbo, but it's kind of a disgusting and disappointing thing. The only upside to it is the comments online are generally very sympathetic to coyotes in general, which surprised, and that's kind of encouraging that people are knowledgeable enough to know that these are beneficial animals in many ways. That's all.
Right. And Trustee Johnson, correct. The township, did go out there. I was out there, and thank you to Rose for going with me. We did get pictures. I've provided, I've written a report. IDNR's stand is that it's on private property. It was not on our property, so we really have no enforcement. And it's devastating. It's just that our hands are kind of tied. It's not our, and, to go, we have no legal reason to go speak to the farmer or the tenant farmer to, ask them what. So hopefully all of between the Facebook and the Nextdoor app, there's been so much talk about it that whoever did do that realizes they're being watched, or that we know they're doing it and we'll stop it, is all I can hope for.
Yeah, it's just kind of hanging here.
Yeah. Okay. Assessor Belak, would you please give us your report?
Yes. Not a lot has changed. We're getting towards the end of finalizing our 2021 assessments. We're reviewing each subdivision, comparing it to the recent sales and the sales over the past 3 years. We do have a tentative multiplier from Kane County Supervisor of Assessments Office, and that factor is 1.023%, meaning all the properties within Dundee Township, their assessments will increase by 2.3%, which is pretty favorable if you ask me, considering how hot this real estate market is right now for residential. It's extremely hot. I'm seeing 12% increases in this past year, pandemic year of all things. Next year will be a different story, but 1 year at a time. Right now we're finalizing 2021. We hope to close our books by the end of May. We've also been out doing new construction, measuring additions, things like that. Nothing out of the normal right now. Weather's getting good. We're almost done. We're almost done with this cycle to get to the next cycle, which is the sending out notices and getting the appeals and so forth. So moving forward.
Trustees, do you have any comments? Okay, no, thank you. Office manager, do you have a report?
No.
Trustees, do you have a report?
Aaron's, no.
Trustee Schaefer?
No.
Okay, Trustee Johnson?
Only that Dixie is becoming extremely popular. I assume it's attributable to COVID. There's a parade of walkers and dog walkers and so forth. We also have a little bit of an episode of biking, which is prohibited. And I've been observing some of the signs around Dixie, and they're minuscule. They're the size of a tea napkin. And it really doesn't mention bikes. It just says hiking is the only the only permitted activity. So I would recommend, I've had some nasty confrontations with bikers who have pretty much told me to take a hike. They're going to continue to bike because they think it's a stupid rule that we have. I think we need some more signs, some very prominent signs. We need to get them up before more damage is done. They seem to prefer, the mountain bikers seem to prefer the most sensitive parts of the property, the hills, the forested ravines and so forth, where there's exciting topography to ruin with their treaded tires. So if we can get some signs up that are prominent, because they all invariably 100% say there are no signs that prohibit biking. Well, there are if you take the time to look at a sign the size of your palm.
Okay, I will bring that up to Kirby. We all know how our foreman does not like signs, polluting everything, but we will get more signs up at each of the trailheads. Okay. All right, with that, I am going to allow the public to speak before I start reading any of the people who said they would not be in attendance here. I asked the following, is that as I either see you or recognize you, please tell us your name, your village, if you want to make a comment, and I'm going to try to go in the best order I can and not duplicate anybody, but I do ask you to bear with me. I will ask you to unmute. Once again, state your name, the village, or organization. If you have a comment, you can make a comment. If you have no comment, say no comment, and then I will mute you again. I would like to start with the caller, the caller, Diana Eckert.
Hi, my name is Diana Eckert. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. I live in Roselle, but I'm on the Dundee Township Mental Health Board. So I'm basically here because I heard of your problem and I wanted to see how it is progressing. That's it.
All right, thank you very much.
Wait, one more thing.
Sure.
Just to let you know, in last year for in 2019 for the 2018 tax bill, my bill was $11,132. Of that, $30.19 went to the mental health board.
Thank you very much for your comment.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.
My next person will be Luann. Luann, do you have a comment? Okay. I do not see a comment from Luann. Alec Newshafer. Alec Newshafer, do you have a comment?
Did I? No.
Thank you. Go ahead and mute yourself. Anna Serznak. And if I know I did not pronounce your name correctly, I'm very sorry about that.
That's okay. You got it close. It's Anna Cerniak. So I just wanted to provide some comments to support the 708 board. So I'm a Kane County resident, but I'm also a mental health provider, and I serve the residents all over Kane County. So I just wanted to express my strong support for the implementation of the 708 Mental Health Board tax levy approved in Elgin and Dundee Townships. As a mental health professional, I have seen an increase in demand for mental health services and the poor outcomes that result when there is not adequate funding and resources to address those needs. Increased hospitalizations, overdoses, incarceration, suicides, truancy, and homelessness are just a few of the outcomes that you can expect if the mental health needs of Elgin and Dundee Township residents are not met. The voters have spoken and they approved the implementation of the 708 board to increase access to critical mental health and substance abuse services. Language on the ballot for Elgin and Dundee Township is the same language that has been used throughout Kane County and Illinois, where other 708 boards have been approved. By not listening to the voters, you are doing a huge disservice to the residents of Elgin, Dundee Township, and Kane County. This will do harm to children, individuals, and families in our community. So I just ask that you please immediately allow the 708 board to continue their efforts.
Thank you. Okay, my next one is Bernie May. Bernie May.
Yes, thank you, Supervisor and Trustees. I wanted to first thank you for your support of the 708 board thus far and everything that you have done to get us to where we're at in this unfortunate circumstance today. I'm the Executive Director for Family Service Association. We provide an array of mental health services for children, adolescents, and their families throughout Kane County. In the past year, we saw 287 individuals living in Dundee Township, which is a 21% increase from the previous year. Yet at this very moment, even though we saw 21% more people this last year, we have a wait list of over 83 people, which often means that people are waiting for as long as 4 months to get in to see a therapist. In those 4 months, who ends up providing those mental health services instead is often hospitals, police, jails, schools, who aren't always equipped to accomplish the same things that mental health professionals are able to do. We are in a mental health crisis unlike any that we have seen in any of our lifetimes. Yet with all of that, our state's attorney and our county clerk are playing politics with people's lives. I request that the township consider an injunction to stop the reckless dismissal of the people's will and then further pursue a lawsuit to right the wrong that has been done to voters. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. May. The next one I have is Miss Carol Grom.
Hi, my name is Carol Grom and I live in Sleepy Hollow. I also wish to comment about the 708 board. The Kane County Clerk's Office is belatedly challenging the legality of the 2020 Dundee Township referendum that authorized the creation of a 708 mental health board. I question both their reasoning and their timing in challenging the referendum now, when they could easily have voiced any concerns over the wording before placing it on the ballot. The referendum clearly stated that the township would levy an annual tax not to exceed 0.15%. There was no confusion as to whether a tax increase was authorized, and Dundee Township voters approved the measure as written. Therefore, I am asking the duly elected Dundee Township Supervisor, Clerk, and Board of Trustees to honor the intent of the residents by pursuing any legal action to force the Kane County Clerk's Office to extend the tax levy for the 708 board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My next public comment is Cheryl Anderley, number 1. And
my only comment, this is Cheryl Anderley, the real Cheryl Anderley.
Yes.
And my only comment is to ask you to read the news article that you were given this afternoon.
From the Kane County Connects about how they,
yes,
how mental health is so important in Kane County.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. How about Cheryl Anderley, number 2? Do you have a comment?
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Berna. I'm a resident of West Dundee, and I am here this evening to listen to the response of the board regarding the 708 work and support to the community. I think it's extremely important. And I would certainly like to see more information going out to the residents in both Elgin and Township in its entirety.
You?
Yes.
Thank you very much for your comment. The next person on my list is Cindy Olden. Cindy Olden.
Hi, I'm Cindy Olden. I live in unincorporated Dundee Township. I am a trustee on the 708 Mental Health Board. I did submit a letter, and the gist of it is I hope that the 708 Mental Health Board receives their funding.
Ms. Holden, you did send that to me. Do you want me to read your letter verbatim?
Sure.
Okay. It says the Kane County Clerk's Office has overturned the results of a referendum which the voters approved back in March of 2020, and the county clerk certified in April of 2020. The new 708 Mental Health Board would like to help those not receiving assistance for issues such as mental health problems, developmental disabilities, or substance abuse. The Dundee Board of Trustees trusted voters of Dundee Township to read and understand the referendum and vote accordingly. So as a voter and a mother of an adult person with a developmental disability, I would urge the Dundee Board of Trustees to have the county clerk's action reversed, if needed, by suing and collecting the funds needed by the Dundee Township 708 Mental Health Board. Thank you.
Thank you.
My next one is Delia Elger. Elgura, and once again, I'm sorry for the mispronunciation, for screwing up your name.
Delilah Alegria with the Ink Board. We are an alliance of the 708 boards in Southern King County, and we're also a member of ACMI, which is the Association of Community Mental Health Alliances Authorities in Illinois. And we are here just lending our support for both Elgin and Dundee Township. Whatever we can do. We always hear about the northern end of the county that needs the services for mental health, DD, and substance use disorder services. So whatever we can do to support, we're here to lend that support because the services are definitely needed up at the northern end of the county.
Okay, thank you very much. My next one is Dawn Armero.
Thank you, Trustee Supervisor Glees. I'm Dawn Arimura. I reside in Sleepy Hollow. I am a 708 Mental Health Board member. I am also the clinical supervisor at Bloomingdale Township Youth Service Bureau. I've been a therapist there for 36 years. And what I'd like to speak to is what the 708 Board in Bloomingdale Township has done for my group and for a lot of the citizens I serve in Bloomingdale Township. In 3 short years, they funded 8.5 therapists. There are 8.5 new therapists in Bloomingdale Township. 4 of those are in police departments. It has made a huge difference in our domestic violence and our truancy from the schools. The additional therapists are back up to the police departments, the schools, and to the poorest section of Bloomingdale Township. We are providing services that the schools do not provide. So that's Bloomingdale Township. For the 708 board here in Dundee Township, I believe that the county clerk's office illegally overturned the results of the referendum, which the voters overwhelmingly approved on March 17th, 2020, and the clerk's office certified as passed on April 7th, 2020. Assisting those who have a mental health disability or addiction challenges and are unable to obtain the assistance they need on their own is one of our most sacred duties. The current Dundee Board of Trustees understood this and trusted the voters of the Dundee Township to render their decision. It is not the county clerk's responsibility to unilaterally declare his office will not enforce the will of the voters. Therefore, as a voter in Dundee Township who cares deeply about the residents of the township, I urge the Dundee Township trustees to have the county clerk's illegal action reversed by suing Kane County in court to execute the will of the Dundee Township voters and collect the taxes to fund the critically important Dundee Township 708 Mental Health Board. As a parent with children who went to Dundee Crown High School, we knew 3 students from Dundee Crown that committed suicide very quickly after high school. And it was heartbreaking to see these students stumble. I would like to be able to go forward and provide support services to young people, regardless of their ability to pay. Thank you, Supervisor Glees.
Thank you very much. The next person on my list is Deanna Cada. Deanna Cada.
Yes, thank you. Deanna Cada. I live in DeKalb County, and I'm the executive director of the Community Mental Health Board. I'm here to show my support and solidarity for the voters of Dundee Township that voted for the board and to be a support. Thank you.
Thank you. Deborah Banks. Deborah Banks.
Hi, my name is Dean Tripp. My wife's name is Deborah Banks Tripp.
I'm sorry.
Hello.
Hi, I'm sorry. Yeah, Mr. Tripp, you said your name
Yes,
is?
yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
My wife's name is Deborah Banks Tripp. I'm speaking on behalf of both of us. I'm a longtime resident of Dundee Township. We want to say that we want to address this issue about what the clerk did there at the county about the funding. People both have worked in social services in several agencies in Dundee Township and Elgin. Ren's Addiction Counseling Center, Kane County Department of Employment and Education, Neighborhood Housing Services of Elgin. My wife worked for 13 years at Ecker Mental Health Center, as well as DuPage County Health Department. We think we know something about the problems of folks who have mental health challenges and problems. We're not happy with our rising tax bill as a retired couple, but on the other hand, we feel very well served, including the services that are rendered via our taxes for the mental health. We don't prefer to see things go to intergovernmental lawsuits, but on the other hand, if that is the only recourse that's left, apart from reasonable discussions with these folks, the parties to the decision, we would support legal action that reverses the decision of the county clerk. So we're in favor of the funding, and that's our position on it, and we hope it helps. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The caller who is identified as GC. GC is your identifier. Okay, not hearing a response.
Hello.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Hi, I'm Gloria Casas with the Courier News.
Hi, Gloria.
Hi.
Do you have a comment or?
No, I do not have a comment. I'm just observing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next person is Greg Buck. Greg Buck. Okay. Holly McNeil.
Hi.
Hi, do you have a comment for the board?
I do. My name is Dr. Holly McNeil, and I have been a resident of West Dundee for 24 years. I've also been an educator in U46 in Kane County for 23 years, and I want to express my frustration based on the decision to not go ahead and approve the 708 Mental Health Board. As all of you are aware, we are still living in a pandemic, and I have never before in my career had students apologizing to me because they cannot do the work. These are high school students whose parents are out of work. They're living with horrible mental illness in their homes. The students are describing their own mental health issues. Never before have I seen such hurt in these children. We need more help with mental health. These children are screaming for it. They need it. We need to support them. And our township has a conscience. They must live their conscience. We must look over. Every family has mental illness in it. We cannot ignore this. They need the help. we had the help and now they're dismissing this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next person is Jackie Baker. Jackie Baker.
Thank you. I'm also here to support the 708 board. The 2021 community health assessment, which is done every 3 years, identified mental health as the top health priority of our residents in Kane County. Northern Kane County does not have any 708 boards, and our health department doesn't have a mental health. We don't have a mental health department in Kane County. So the 708 boards are just strategic in managing the mental health of our residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next caller, or next speaker rather, is James Gould. James Gould.
Thank you. My name is James Gould, and I have lived in Carpentersville for 30 plus years. I've got a short prepared statement that I'd like to read. It is said that the goodness of a society is judged by how it cares for its most vulnerable people. Some of our most needy neighbors are those with developmental disabilities, mental health needs, and substance abuse conditions. The Illinois system of care is severely underfunded, and as a result, the state ranks at the bottom in terms of services. My son David is 28. He is developmentally disabled and will require care his entire life. 4 years ago, David received state funding that pays for his services. But in Dundee Township, there are approximately 200 individuals with developmental disabilities who are waiting for the services that David now receives. In addition, I have a friend whose son died from an opioid overdose, and another friend whose son is incarcerated for drug violations. Neither of those young men received the treatment that they needed. And we all know that the Kane County Jail is filled with individuals whose criminal behavior is due to unaddressed mental health conditions. And I want to echo the comment that was just made by Holly McNeil. I too, as a veteran college professor, this year have seen more depression and anxiety in my students than I have in my 35-year teaching career. Last March, voters in Dundee Township approved a referendum to create and fund a mental health board to provide comprehensive local support services. It will generate funds for things like counseling, drug treatment and rehabilitation, day training, accessible transportation, and respite care for families. And I want to thank the Dundee Township Board for supporting that measure and putting it to the voters last year. As we've been talking about, the Kane County Clerk has decided not to collect the taxes that were approved for those services. Right? And I want to echo all of the comments that this is very undemocratic because the county is overturning the will of township voters who approved the referendum by a wide 67% margin. So I too am protesting this move by the county and asking you as the township board to take all legal actions necessary to reverse this unfair and undemocratic decision. And I'm asking you to act immediately. Please provide a safety net for our most at-risk residents. And board, thank you for your service to our community.
Thank you very much. The next one I have is Jody Dart. Jody Dart.
Hi, this is Jody Dart, the Association of Community Mental Health Authorities of Illinois. I don't have a comment. I'm just here in support of the 708 board.
Thank you. Thank you. My next one is Lori Baker. Lori Baker.
Hi, I'm Lori Baker. I'm the president and CEO of the Association for Individual Development, or AID. We provide mental health services and services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities across about 7 counties, and have served people in Dundee Township for a number of years. On April 20th of this year, the Kane County's 2021 Community Health Assessment was released. And as has been previously mentioned, the top health priority in the community was once again mental health. It's been at the top of the list for the past 6 years. Substance use needs is 4th on the list of 13 issues that are plaguing Kane County. There are currently 84 people who are Dundee Township residents with intellectual and developmental disabilities who are actively seeking service today, but cannot receive that service because they are on a waiting list to receive Medicaid services from the state, and are unable to receive those services because our state has not selected them off of the waiting list. These are just a handful of the reasons why it is very important that the 708 board is allowed to move forward. In my opinion, the voters' will has been usurped by to the detriment of the most vulnerable of our residents. A 708 mental health board is desperately needed for the safety and support of the residents of Dundee Township, and I'm asking you to pursue legal action to impel the Kane County clerk to do his job. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak to this important issue.
Thank you very much. The next person is Mark Avalar. Mark Avalar.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Madam Supervisor, a member of the Dundee Township Board. The name is Mark Avalar. I live in the village of Algonquin for over 26 and a half years. And I want to speak about just a simple question. How the heck did the Township Board let this happen? I reviewed your minutes from December of 2019. The council said everything looked fine. Nobody has mentioned tonight the property tax extension limitation law, or PTEL. How could this have been missed? I cannot believe that Dundee and Elgin Townships are the only 2 townships that did not use PTEL. The whole talk about litigation, and litigation, I mean, that's going to drain this township faster than any of all funds for all services. Also, we have an administration that's going to be rolled off by this time next month, and you've got a new administration coming in. And the last people I want to see our taxing bodies enrich are lawyers. No offense to any attorneys on the call, but up here, in the past decade, we have seen litigation with Grafton Township and Algonquin Township, and the only one that seems to be benefiting are the lawyers. So I ask the Township Board, the outgoing Township Board tonight, to wait before committing to any litigation. I'd like to see what the new administration believes they need to do, because I'm also reading Assessor Belak's state published statement from last week. He said the people voted for something they were not fully informed about. PTEL law covers that and specifically requires ballot language that estimates what it would cost a taxpayer who owns a home in the taxing district. The people were not correctly informed. End of story. The referendum will have to be voted on again to hope to levy a tax. So I guess where I'm hearing a lot of speakers saying, well, the county clerk willy-nilly did this. No, he did not. He worked with the Kane County State's Attorney's Office. I've heard language like voter suppression. There's enough of that garbage going on in other places. In the law, if PTEL is really a strike issue, then all we're going to do is waste taxpayer dollars on litigation, and we're not going to solve the problem. I've not heard any statement tonight from the township legal counsel, and hopefully maybe they can speak. I recognize it could be litigation. It might have to be an executive session, but maybe a way to work this out. And I've been reading the minutes for the that started from last July. The township 708 board, could they continue to do their work and chart out specifics of what's going to be asked? And then, as Assessor Belak stated publicly last week, referendum will have to be voted on again, and we can do that on March 15th. We can solve the problem. The work's going to be planned. It's going to be shovel ready. And I recognize there could be a delay in receiving the funding, but the last thing I want to see is mountains of litigation and nothing's going to be completed in 2 to 3 years, and we may well just rerun the referendum and get the help to the people we need. I voted for the referendums, for the record, because I know this is a very crucial issue. Now, I don't need to quote statistics. You can just look at the news. Indianapolis, mental health. The Good
Excuse me, sir,
Friday.
You're past your 3 minutes, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you for listening. Please listen to what I said.
Thank you. Thank you. The next person is Maria's. It just says Maria's. Maria's. Okay. All right. Mike Tennis.
Hello here. I've been listening to all the comments tonight, and I think the one that the township board should listen to the most is Mark Avalar. If you proceed with litigation, before proceeding with litigation, ask for a case cost assessment and a timeline, and then do the right thing and get a PTEL worded referendum on the next election ballot. That is the most cost-effective way to approach it. Thank you.
The next person is Paul Setz. Paul Setz.
Thank you, Supervisor Glees. I'm speaking as a private citizen here, not as the president of the 708 board. So I just want to make that clear. For more than 1.5 years, I have attempted to get the Dundee Township trustees to identify for the public what the township's priorities should be. The trustees have failed at this task. The closest you have come is the idea that looking at past spending, presenting the spending in a pie chart, and concluding that the priorities are where money has been spent in the past is how to identify the board's priorities for today and tomorrow. It is, to say the least, an absurd approach. There was, however, a glimmer of hope when the trustees decided to put to the voters whether to create a fundamental health board, even though some of you were holding out hope that the question would fail. But the voters of the township overwhelmingly voted to create a fundamental health board. Further, the county clerk certified the vote. No one raised any objections to the vote prior to or after the vote was certified. That is until now, more than 1 year after the vote certification. For reasons that are murky, the county clerk now refuses to collect the tax levy. Well, the reason is not murky, but the timing clearly is. For those residents of the township who are under the impression that there's enough help for the mentally ill, the disabled, and those dealing with addictions, you are wrong. You've heard that tonight very clearly. If there are residents who believe that the referendum was not properly worded, then they should stand up and sue the county to overturn the election and have their day in court. Overturning a legally certified election in the will of the voters should not be unilaterally decided by a county bureaucracy. I believe that assisting those who have mental health, disability, or addiction challenges and are unable to obtain the assistance they need on their own is one of society's most sacred duties. The current Dundee Board of Trustees understood this and trusted the voters of Dundee Township to render their decision, which is what is supposed to happen in a democracy. As the outgoing board, it may be easy to push the problem off to the next board, but that would be a mistake. 3 of the 4 of you have been reelected, and you supported putting the referendum on the ballot to begin with. If you believe in the sanctity of the vote, you need to make a stand now. So, as a voter in Dundee Township who cares about the residents of the township and voting in general, I think you have to take legal action against the county. As been pointed out in some of the chat here, people who keep claiming PTEL is the problem are incorrect. They need to familiarize themselves with the law. So, unless the county clerk reverses his decision, there really is no other alternative here but to sue the county. I don't like that any more than anybody else. It costs money, things drag on forever. But the county clerk had no right to overturn this election. And quite frankly, one of the reasons they're doing this is they don't want some of the citizens who like to complain about their taxes to complain to the county clerk and cause all sorts of problems at the county level. Well, that's what people get voted into office for, is to deal with issues, not try to push them off in another direction. So, you know, unless the decision of the county clerk gets stayed, which I think is also critical here beyond just suing, then the mentally ill, the disabled, and the addicted in Dundee Township will continue to needlessly suffer without the help they truly need. So I ask the board, please do the job you're elected to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
My
The next,
microphone works now. Sorry, this is Maria.
okay, Maria, go ahead. If you'd like to make a comment, I'll go back to you.
Well, I only want to support my community members. I live in West Dundee. I've been an educator, so it's very inspiring to hear other educators, you know, voicing their concerns and frustration. I also here to support my 708 Dundee Mental Health Board. We have tried our best, and speaking as an educator who is now interestingly enough in law enforcement, I have seen it both in education and in law enforcement, the necessity, the need for guidance and resources in our community for low-income people, for ethnic minorities, for native speakers, non-native speakers. It doesn't matter how you look, your color, the color of your skin, the language you speak. Mental illness is a reality in this country, and it is true. You can just turn the news and see it very clearly. You don't have to go far. Talk to your own family, your friends. You will realize that, you know, financial burden is, you know, mental health is needed, and we need to help our children, and we need to help our youth, but we also need to help our mentally ill seniors. It's not everybody's affected by mental health, and all we're trying to do is help our community. So it's common sense. I'm here in support of 708 Mental Health Board, and whatever measure that is necessary to take, I will support it so that we are all you know, a step further into receiving the mental health resources that we deserve. We are in a pandemic too, so it's just horrible timing. So I just wanted to make sure I said something. I feel like it was maybe meant to be that my microphone, you know, that wasn't working, because I did have a lot more to say, but I'm just here to support our 708 Mental Health Board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person is Paula Lauer. Paula Lauer, do you have a comment?
I'm here to also express support for the 708 board and tax levy approved by Dundee Township voters. I live in East Dundee. I'm a lifelong resident of Dundee Township. And I think that the importance of mental health services and support is and has been undervalued, it's underfunded, it's undersupported by health insurance. And I would hope that whatever issue has been assessed by the clerk's office can be addressed so that the initiative can move forward and our residents can be served. I had a question regarding the Elgin Township's lawsuit. Do you know if that is underway or has been filed yet, or are they kind of at the same point that we are?
I'm sorry, can you please repeat your question? You broke up on me.
I was wondering if anybody knows if the lawsuit by Elgin Township has been filed or is underway, or are they kind of at the same point that we are?
Ms. Grom is raising her hand. I believe she might have an answer. Go ahead, Ms. Grom.
Yes, I spoke today with Franklin Ramirez, who is the current supervisor of Elgin Township, and they are in much the same situation that we are, with a changeover coming to the board, and no action has been taken yet that I am aware of.
So I guess the question is, are there any economies of scale in joining together for a lawsuit? Or I'm just thinking of our size and budget compared to Elgin Township's. You know, is there a financial benefit in either waiting or joining a lawsuit rather than both of us doing them separately?
The board cannot discuss that at this point, but I have documented that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Pop Murray.
Yes, thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk. I'm live in Roselle, Illinois, and I've been an organizer of referendum for Bloomingdale Township and Milton Township, which just passed a referendum. And Knox Township, I should mention, also passed a referendum in 2017, the same year that Bloomingdale Township did. And the exact language that was used on your referendum was used in all of those referendums. It is taken directly from the statutes for community mental health boards. If you lawyer who reads the PICO law will see that it excludes direct referendums like the 708 board. And actually the Community Mental Health Act addresses this head on, quoting verbatim from the act. Such tax shall be levied and collected in the same manner as other governmental unit taxes, but shall not be included in any limitation that would be referred to PTEL otherwise prescribed as to the rate or amount of the governmental unit taxes, but shall be in addition thereto and in excess thereof, which means I think it's self-explanatory. I think your Kane County government official is being foolish and is needlessly burdening the taxpayers of Kane County with litigation, and the importance of the issue has certainly been spoken to very eloquently by others on this panel. So I hope that this can be resolved without further litigation or any action. Thank you.
My next person is a Vanessa Matt Henry. Vanessa Matt Henry. Okay. Walter Grom. Walter Grom.
Yeah, hi. My name is Walter Grom. I'm a 31-year resident of Sleepy Hollow. My comment is very straightforward. In 2020, by a wide margin, the voters of Dundee Township approved the referendum for the creation of a 708 mental health board and a tax levy to support it. Therefore, it's my view that the Dundee Township Board must challenge the decision of the Kane County Clerk's Office to invalidate the certified referendum and thus refuse to collect the corresponding taxes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wendy Witt. Wendy Witt.
So I am a resident of West Dundee. I'm also the pastor of the Methodist Church in West Dundee and a member of the 708 Mental Health Board. I have been in ministry for 30 years. During that entire time, I have worked with people.
Excuse me, Miss Witt, Reverend Witt, I'm sorry, we're having trouble hearing you.
Okay, my mic doesn't always work.
I'm sorry. Can you start again? We can barely hear you. No.
Don't worry about it.
Go ahead. Do you want to try one more time?
But I'm having issues with my mic, and nothing I'm going to say is new.
We can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes. Stay
All right,
lean
let me try.
forward.
My
We can
mic
hear you
goes,
again. Yeah,
my
lean
mic goes
forward,
in and out. Just wanted to say I'm a member of the 708 board. I live in West Dundee. I'm also the pastor of the United Methodist Church in West Dundee. I've been a United Methodist pastor for 34 years. And during all that time, I have worked intensely with people living with mental illness, addiction, and abuse. Many of them do not have the ability or the resources to access the care and the support that they need. The Mental Health Board, the 708 board, would be critical in providing literally life-saving services to the people that that I have ministered to, worked with over the past 34 years. This year, I have seen the pandemic take an emotional toll on members and community members, from the youngest to the oldest. I've seen an increase in abuse, depression, substance abuse, and if ever there was a time that this board would, so I implore you to do all that you can to fight and to make sure that this board is retained and funded fully. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one is telephone number that ends in 366. 366. Do you have a comment? Three, 6, 6. Okay. The next one is number 704. 704. Do you have a comment? Hey Bob, what if somebody wants to unmute? What is it? *6?
*6.
Okay, if you are on a telephone and you want to unmute, it's *6 if you're having trouble. I'll go back to telephone number 366. Do you have a comment? Okay. Telephone number 744. Do you have a comment? Okay. Telephone number 911. Do you have a comment? Okay. Telephone number 088. Do you have a comment? It is *6 to unmute your phone if you're on your phone. Okay. Telephone number 056. 056.
Yes, this is Erin Thrower, and I just wanted to
comment and say thank you for everyone that's taken the time to listen and to give their comments tonight. You know, what I am hearing is a lot of emotion. While I appreciate that passion, I'm very anxious to hear the data-driven decisions that really initiated the conversation about 708, whether that be several years ago. So again, really interested in looking at some of that data. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Number 711.
Yeah, Trish, I see the old double standard again. You shut Mark Avalar off at 3 minutes. Right next to it, it says public questions limited to 15 minutes total. You've been beating this horse for an hour now. Therefore, I think I'm going to just defer my future comments to the incoming supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, we have several comments that were sent to me, and I will start to read those. And although it does say a limit of 3 minutes, which we are going to 15, this is an important topic, and I will be reading all of them, and everybody who has provided public comment will hear their voice. That is, you know, that is called democracy. This first comment is from a Susan Gold. It says, I am writing to reiterate my support for the formation of the 708 board in Dundee Township. I am a parent of a young man with developmental disabilities. I am writing to reiterate I am also a retired special education teacher in District 300. I work and I live with a population that desperately needs our support. People with disabilities have so much to contribute to our community if we just help to provide the support. People with mental health issues and substance abuse issues need our support. How we as a community and society support those who need help says an incredible amount about us as human beings. Developmental disabilities, mental illness, or substance abuse can hit any family at any time. Please keep that in mind as this discussion continues. I am also very disappointed, angry, and suspicious that the passage of this tax is being questioned. Please make sure the community knows that their wishes are not being followed per a legal election. Susan K. Gold, Carpentersville. The next one is from June Keebler. Steve and I are both completely in favor of taking the steps necessary to follow the direction of the Dundee Township voters when our residents passed the referendum to create the 708 Mental Health Board and fully fund the 708 Health Board by a tax increase as approved at our consolidated election on April 6, on March 17th of 2020 by a 63% majority. To do less would be to ignore the will of our residents and deny the democratic process and set a terrible precedent. The next one is from a Deb Howe at the Ecker Center for Behavioral Health. Ecker Center for Behavioral Health wants to convey our support for the 708 mental health referendum that was passed by the voters last March. The language used on the ballot was directly taken from the Community Mental Health Act that deems authority to the 708 boards. We respectfully request that the voters' decision to create a 708 mental health board be honored. Thank you. My next one is from a Marlene Johnson of Algonquin. I learned today that the approved tax for the Dundee Township 708 board will not be collected by the Kane County Clerk's office. It is my understanding that the people of Dundee Township overwhelmingly approved this tax for the 708 board. I trust that the Kane County Clerk will do as requested by the people of our township and without further delay begin the collection of this tax. This one is from Anonymous, and it says, To the Dundee Township Board of Trustees. The Kane County Clerk's Office illegally overturned the results of a referendum, which the voters overwhelmingly approved on March 17th, 2020. The county clerk certified and passed on April 7th of 2020. Assisting those who have a mental health, disability, or addiction challenges and are unable to attain assistance they need on their own is one of society's most sacred duties. The current Board of Trustees understood this and trusted the voters of Dundee Township to render their decision. It is not the county clerk's responsibility to unilaterally declare his office will not enforce the will of the voters. Therefore, as a voter of Dundee Township who cares deeply about the residents of the township, I urge the Dundee Township trustees to have the county clerk's illegal action reversed by suing Kane County in court to execute the will of the Dundee Township voters and to collect the taxes to fund the critically important Dundee Township Mental Health Board. Okay. All of these comments that were handed to me in writing will be found in the meeting minutes. This one is from a Tiffany Bullard and family of Sleepy Hollow. Hello, my name is Tiffany Bullard and I write on behalf of my family of 5 in Sleepy Hollow. To have a context of my passion on mental health and why I'm writing in to this meeting this evening, I wanted to start by giving you a bit of context. I grew up in the areas of Fox Valley, Carpentersville, and East and West Dundee through high school and returned back to Sleepy Hollow to raise our 3 children. I am the only daughter of a father who is a previous Dundee Township voter for most of his adult life. My father, now retired, was placed on disability since the age of 35 for mental illness and still continues to battle with simple tasks such as long drives or visiting crowded spaces to this very day. He is now in his late 60s. My parents are divorced, and when his second wife died of cancer, he was priced out of his home and now must live alone in a low-income apartment complex in a rough area of Rockford. He lives a frugal lifestyle now, barely on any means, deciding if food will sacrifice that month to pay for his medicines. He has had to reduce his therapy appointments to quarterly due to lack of funding. To come to terms with his mental illness and to be able-bodied as he is now only came from when he had a proper funding to battle alcohol abuse, paranoid gun possession, and the fear of even leaving his home. Getting groceries to feed me on his weekends was impossible, so he resorted to feeding me gas station food and $1 frozen pizzas or heated up taco shells at dinner. While he is thankfully now sober and in a much stronger state of mental health, I can state that while I was on my court-demanded weekends as a young child, I would fear for my life. I can attest that truly the only thing that turned him around was regular and funded therapy sessions and medical assistance. Therefore, as someone who has witnessed the damage improperly managed mental illness can do, it is imperative that the board take any action possible to ensure the justice for those with mental illness. It is to my knowledge that the Kane County Clerk has illegally overturned a county clerk's certified and voter-approved referendum approved on March 17th, 2020 and certified April 7th, 2020. Overturning an approved vote is absolutely dangerous and against the wishes of the Dundee Township Board of Trustees. I request to assist their decision. If there is a reasoning behind this action, such as the wording of the statement in a different way, a claim must be taken to court. We, the Dundee Township, vote with our hearts and expect our elected officials to listen to our demands and to put forward, regardless his or her political stances or biases on mental health funding. proper funding and care for mental health only strengthens the community. My family asks that you taking the proper tax funding and putting it towards the mental health board as was voted by Dundee Township. I ask the board members to fight for this in court to assure those who are in need receive what they deserve. Okay, my next one is from Jake Serafini of Carpentersville.
Trish,
Yep.
you're repeating yourself. I feel very sorry for all these people. I agree with everything you've been saying. I agree with all the people that have been talking. Do we have to hear all these letters and keep going on? They're
Yeah,
most.
I think we do, because I understand that. I understand that, Trustee Aaron's, but yes, because they are the public and the public deserves to be heard. We have 4 more and each and every one of them will be heard. The resident, this is from Jake and Tracy Serafini of Carpentersville. Residents of Dundee Township didn't want the Long Meadow Bridge, but we got the Long Meadow Bridge. Residents of Dundee Township wanted a 708 mental health board. And now we're being told that a certified election where we overwhelmingly vote for this is being unilaterally thrown out and we can't have a 708 board. After 15 years of living here, I'm beginning to wonder if I have my family in the wrong place. What is the point of any of this if nobody cares about what the constituents actually want for a community? My grandfather used to tell us kids, and this is his quote, "Any jackass can kick down a barn door. It takes a real person to build something and sustain it," end quote. It seems to me that the Republicans in Kane County from Batavia to Algonquin really don't care about building anything. If you want empty promises and false rhetoric about lowering my taxes, I know where to go for that. When it comes to building and improving community, I'll look elsewhere. Most people of Kane County disregard Dundee Township anyway. But when Dundee Township starts disregarding itself, maybe it's time to go. I am incredibly disappointed with what's happening with the 708 board. This is stealing an election. I urge the current board to take the county to court. The services is needed now more than ever as we recover from this global pandemic. The people spoke loud and clear. See it through. Okay. The next one is from a Deb Russo, RN. The 708 Mental Health Board was approved and should be given tax support. Denying the services to mentally ill would end in more shootings or assaults. Then you're needing to increase police intervention and causing more death and injuries to your citizens. Okay. The next one is from a Scott Douglas. He says, why I'm unable to virtually attend this evening's trustee township board meeting, I will trust that this email will arrive in time for me to express my support. I am greatly dismayed that our county clerk is not implementing the tax levy for the 708 mental health boards of both Elgin and Dundee Township. According to John Lopez's April 16th post in the McHenry County blog, Dundee Township assessor and chair of the Dundee Township Republican Organization, Mike Belak, is stating that the people voted for something that they were fully not informed about. It is my understanding that Mr. Cunningham's office reviewed the wording of the referendum prior to placing it on the ballot. And then again, when he announced the results, and then again in December, when the township submitted the application for the increased levy. It seems odd now, following an election in which both the Dundee Township and Elgin Township trustees have changed from Democrats to Republicans or Republicans to Republicans. The Republicans are claiming that the voters were misled by the wording. I voted in favor of the 708 referendum. The wording of the referendum left no doubt in my mind I was voting in favor of increasing my tax burden. I strongly support the creation and the funding of the 708 boards. There is a significant need for these services among those with mental illness and substance issues in our community. And This one is from Devin McCrate of West Dundee. Supervisor Gleason and Township Trustees. You are already aware Dundee Township voters approved a referendum to create and fund the mental health board by nearly a 2-to-1 margin last year. Kane County Clerk John Cunningham recently announced that his office will not collect the tax due to what he perceives as an issue with the wording of the referendum. This decision is entirely outside the clerk's authority and jeopardizes services that are needed by some of the most vulnerable residents of Dundee Township. As one of the thousands of people who voted in critical service is being threatened, and that the results of a legal certified election are being undermined by the very official who certified them. I urge you to file a lawsuit against the clerk's office immediately and demand that the voter approved funding for the mental health board be collected. It is not only the right thing to do, it is your duty as an elected official to respect and defend the decisions made by the Dundee Township voters. With that, I'm ending 45 comments, 45 separate public comments. We shall move on to new business. I am going to make a change, or I'm at least moving things around, since we have spent all this time talking about the 708 mental health levy. We have a section to approve legal actions against the Kane County Clerk in the 708 mental health levy board that will require us to go to executive session and do that. It's 8:44 and many people want to see what happens. I am going to ask that we go to executive session now. I am looking for a motion to adjourn to the executive session pursuant to section 2C11 of the Open Meetings Act to discuss litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of a particular public body has been filed or is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent. I need a first and a second to move us into executive session.
Question.
Yep.
Will our attorney be present during executive session to counsel us?
Yes, he will be.
I so move.
I have a first and a second. To all of you in the public, I am going to be stopping the recording as soon as I put you, and then I'm going to put you all into the waiting room where you can wait. Once we are done with the executive session, I will bring you back to the live meeting. With that, everyone, please hold on.
Excuse me, do we need to vote on the?
Yeah, thank
We
you.
need a roll call. We need a roll call. Yeah.
We need a roll call. Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Harney.
Yes.
Trustee Aarons.
Aye.
Trustee Schaefer.
Aye.
And Supervisor Gleason and I. Thank you for catching that. With that, I'm going to stop the recording and everybody is going to go into the waiting room.